heels do we have left?
Just enough to dye this next batch of wool.
Do we have any saffron?
Only a little bit. I sent the girls to buy more saffron from Sarah and Bethany.
Sarah gives us the best price. The girls have been gone for hours. I wonder what's taking them so long.
It seems like everything takes longer with the Passover crowds in town.
Shalom! Welcome! Matthew here tells me that he wanted to bring you all by my shop. My name is Ruth. And like others here, you all made it here to Jerusalem for Passover. It's been a busy week. This linen here, woven, is the best that you will find. Here, please, take a sample.
Mother, you'll never believe what just happened.
Where have you been?
We saw Jesus of Nazareth.
There were so many people around him, and everyone was shouting.
He was riding on a donkey into town. Everyone was honoring him like the king.
Some people cut off branches from trees and laid them down on their paths. Others took off their cloaks and laid them down for him. And everyone was
shouting, Hosanna! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Blessed
is the coming kingdom of our father David. Hosanna, Hosanna in the highest of heaven.
Hosanna, Hosanna. A big crowd of us followed him into the city.
I have heard of Jesus of Nazareth before, but never seen him in person. I heard that he teaches in the temple with authority like no one else. I heard that he heals the blind to see and heals the cripple, and that he brought a man and a girl back to life from the dead.
Elijah, one of the shepherds in Bethlehem that we buy wool from, said that he thinks Jesus is unlike anybody else that's ever been born. Elijah said that when he was watching his sheep out in the fields on the night Jesus was born.
He's told me that too. It's a really crazy story. Something about angels coming to him and his brothers at night while they were out in the fields and telling them about a really special baby.
They say Jesus is the promised rescuer, promised to our ancestors and to us.
One time, a woman came into my shop and told me that she followed Jesus to watch him heal the sick in Galilee. That she said everyone was amazed by how he did the impossible again and again. She said Jesus took 5 loaves of bread, 2 fish, and somehow multiplied them. They ended up with over 5,000, enough to feed, and still were enough and satisfied. She said they even had food left over.
But Jesus wasn't his mighty warrior self today. He was riding on a donkey, a sign of peace, not battle. How will he overcome Roman rules by peacefully riding on the donkey?
There's something different about him though.
Yes, I agree. He is special. I heard that he spends time with tax collectors and outcasts, that he heals people with leprosy. He touches them, heals them, and doesn't even get sick. If Jesus is the promised rescuer, why would he spend his time with the lowest of society? Why wouldn't he spend his time with people of power?
But he's done so many impossible things. If he is the promised rescuer, he doesn't need people of power because he's chosen by God.
God promised Abraham he'd be the father over many nations. Abraham was 99 years old and had no children. But God kept his promise. Abraham and Sarah had Isaac.
Isaac had Jacob, who had 12 sons.
And their families became the 12 tribes of Israel.
God did the impossible when he rescued our people from starving to death during the Great Famine.
You're right. Even though Joseph's brothers tried to harm him, God made it turn out for the best, so that all of Israel could be saved from death.
Don't forget Passover. God did the impossible again when he protected and freed our people from hundreds of years of slavery in Egypt. God even parted the Red Sea so they could walk across on dry land to freedom.
During the terrible years of exile, God did the impossible by saving our people from death again and again.
God protected Daniel in the lion's den.
And God saved the Jewish people in the Persian Empire from death through Queen Esther.
The story of Esther is full of ways that God was secretly at work, even when things seemed impossible.
Speaking of impossible, God provided a way for the temple to be restored.
Yes, who would have thought that God would use a Persian king to rebuild Jerusalem?
Looking back, God did work in mighty, mighty ways and unusual ways. Maybe Jesus is the promised rescuer.
The story of our people is like a woven piece of fabric, connecting generation to generation through the faithfulness of the one true God.
Ah, speaking of fabric, we got so distracted about the big news that we forgot to give each of our guests a sample of linen. Girls, in a bit, let's help pass these samples out to our guests.
We just heard the story about how Jesus entered Jerusalem with crowds cheering around him. But then we also learned that within a week, the crowds had dwindled and the religious leaders. And then a child was born in Bethlehem, a town of Judea. This child's name was Jesus, and he was God's only son, God with us. He promised, and he also gave people a choice: to follow in his perfect plan and to live in creation forever, or to rebel and turn their backs